Hello, welcome back. In this video, we are going to learn about OSI Model Part I. So let's look at the agenda. We will be starting with fundamentals of OSI model, then the application layer. After that, presentation layer will be discussed. Lastly, we would end the video with discussion about the session layer. So let us look at the fundamentals of OSI model. OSI model is called a reference model. Now, what is the full form of OSI? OSI means Open System Interconnection. This is open in the sense this model can be used by any protocol, and hence it is called a reference model. There are 7 conceptual layers of the OSI model. Each layer has its own task. It was founded by the ISO in 1994. ISO is called the International Organization for Standardization. This is a body that looks after the standardization of technical activities. As there are 7 layers, each layer is defined to have several functionalities. Now, these are all independent functions. The meaning is that these layers are self-contained and independent in nature. So now we will look into the different layers and the different tasks of the OSI model. Let us look into the layers. As I said that there are 7 layers, so let us start from the 7th layer. 7th layer is called the application layer. 6th layer is the presentation layer. 5th layer is called the session layer. 4th layer is the transport layer. 3rd layer is the network layer. 2nd layer is called the data link layer. And finally, the lowest layer, which is layer 1, is called the physical layer. Now, this application layer, presentation layer, session layer and transport layer, these are known as the host layers. And network layer, data link layer and the physical layer, these are called the media layers. Now, the various protocol data units that are used for the different layers are for the 7th layer, 6th layer and 5th layer. The protocol data unit is simply data. At the transport layer, this data is segmented and we have data segment as the protocol data unit. At the network layer, the protocol data unit is packets. At the data link layer, the protocol data unit is frames. And at the last or the physical layer, we have symbols. To see the functionalities of the different layers, we will know that application layer mainly deals with application programming interfaces. For presentation layer, data translation is the main functionality. Together with it, we can have compression of data as well as encryption. Session layer mainly controls the dialogues between various sessions. In transport layer, we have end-to-end reliable delivery of data. Network layer mainly deals with routing and addressing to send data from the source to the destination computer. In data link layer, we have reliable data transmission, but in this case it is node to node delivery. Physical layer mainly deals with raw bit streams connected to the physical medium through the interface. So let us now understand them one by one. Let's go to the application layer. We can see here the application layer mainly provides network services to the end users. This is the 7th layer of the OSI model, and this is closest to the users. So the users can directly connect with the softwares, or we can see the software applications in this layer of the OSI model. This layer is also responsible for resource allocation, and it solves various network related issues including transparency. Let us understand the flow diagram. Let's see that this is a user A and we consider it to be a sender. So this user A resides at the sender computer. It has some data to send. Now this application layer processes this data and transforms them into D7. So D7 means the data at the application layer. Now this data then passes through the transmission media and it goes to the destination computer. Here also this D7 goes there and there is a user which receives the data. Let's say it is user B and this is the destination computer. So this way we can see that at the application layer, the user is closest to this layer and it can directly interact with the various application layer protocols. For example, it can deal with FTP or HTTP or SMTP, etc. Let's now look at the presentation layer. Presentation layer is responsible for data translation, data compression, and data encryption. It is basically the 6th layer of the OSI model from above, and it is just below the application layer. It looks into the syntax and semantics of information. Syntax means what format the data will be passed from the user to the application layer and from there to the presentation layer. So the presentation layer looks into the format of data as well as the semantics means how the data will be controlled. So in short, it is responsible for data translation. It is also useful for doing the process of encryption. Now this encryption is a process where a plain text, which is actually the message, is converted to a ciphertext. And this ciphertext is an unintelligible message. When it passes through the channel, anybody who is not intended will not be able to understand the message, and this ciphertext then reaches the destination computer and it is reconverted back to the plain text. So this is the sending computer and then this is the destination computer. So this process is called encryption. At the sending end, we do encryption. That means converting message to ciphertext, and the receiving end, we convert the ciphertext to plain text, and this process is called decryption. Next is data translation. This is also a functionality of the presentation layer. After that, there can be data compression when we want to send huge amount of data and through a smaller bandwidth. Let's look at the flow diagram of presentation layer. Data from application layer will come here and it will go at the presentation layer, and from the presentation layer here compression, encryption or data translation can happen, and here we get the D6 data. Why D6? Because this is the 6th layer of the OSI model. This comes, it goes through the communication channel or the transmission medium, and this is actually the sending station, and here also at the receiving station we have D6. It goes to the presentation layer. From there it goes to the application layer of the destination computer. So this is the flow diagram of presentation layer. Here one thing must be mentioned. From application layer we are basically getting D7. So here also you will get D7 data. Next is the session layer. Session layer is used to establish, manage and also terminate the communication sessions between the two parties, and it is the 5th layer of the OSI model. Mainly it controls dialogues or sessions between the two parties happening during communication. It uses either the half duplex mode of communication or full duplex mode of communication. So for each session, this dialogue control is necessary. Next, it can also be useful for synchronization and recovery. Synchronization means between the dialogues there should be proper timing instance. So the sender and the receiver must be aware when a particular session starts and when it ends. And in case of network failure, there may be some termination in the session for data transmission. So proper measure should be taken so that the system can resume activity at the point of interruption, or at least to take the system to the state before the transmission started. Let us understand the flow diagram of the session layer. So let's say this is the sending station and we have the receiving station. So from the sending station, what happens, since this is the 5th layer, we will be getting D6, or it is actually coming from the presentation layer. So data coming from presentation layer or D6 layer comes to the session layer, and the functionalities of the session layer happen, then it creates D5 data. Now this D5 data then travels through the transmission medium, and when it comes to the destination computer, it receives the D5 data It transmits it to the session layer of the destination computer. From there, it generates the D6 layer data and gives it to the presentation layer of the destination computer. So this is the flow diagram of the session layer. So here we come to the end of this lesson. In this lesson, we have learnt about the fundamentals of OSI model, the various layers of the OSI model. We have seen that there are 7 layers of the OSI model, and we have learnt about the various parameters of the OSI model and brief description of the functionalities of the various layers of the OSI model. And in details, we have learnt about 7th layer, 6th layer and 5th layer of the OSI model. Thank you.